I'll start with Ohio State. I think they're a lot better team than I was anticipating coming in. I knew they were going to be good, but they had better arms than I thought. They had better players than I was expecting, and they were scrappy. And they really challenged us up and down the lineup. Didn't give in on tough pitches. They had a good idea what they were doing. So we got challenged. I knew we were going to, but to that extent, I didn't. It was a dogfight. Every game against them. So they'll win They'll win a lot of games, I think, this year. But from our standpoint. We battled. We haven't played our best baseball. We haven't pitched it as well as we can yet, and we're going to have to get better there. But I think at the end of the day, after jumping out to a nice 3-run lead and then giving it up immediately, bouncing back, then giving it up again, it's just these are all character-building wins. If we can come out on top, and we're being battle tested for sure. So I think if we can clean some things up as we move forward. And we've played a lot of baseball in the last 10 days, 8 games in 10 days. We've been challenged pretty good. But we got a chance to lick our wounds a little bit, recover, and then we got, of course, three tough games down in Texas, or actually we play 4 games down there. So, we are being battle tested, and we're figuring out that every little thing matters, every detail of the game matters. We don't make a play at shortstop there in the second inning. We give up a 4 spot and we give up a lead. So we can't give up extra outs, and we can't give up free bases, and those are the things that are costing us. And we got to be better on 0-2, 1-2 as well. So anyway, but there's a lot of positives. These guys aren't giving in. They're bouncing back from the adversity that we're facing, and they keep coming at it. So from that standpoint, very proud of these guys that they keep battling.
With Tyler, off to a second start, the positives, negatives of his early performances, what do you sort of take from how his process has been coming back from injury, and kind of where he's at in that?
Well, I think the positives are he's remained healthy, and the ball's coming out well. He doesn't have his pinpoint accuracy like he normally does, and I think that's going to continue to come, the more reps he gets out there. But the fact that he's out there and being a veteran presence for us, and trying to gut out and eat up innings, and he's been a little bit of a had some bad luck behind him. I think the first two starts that has really affected him, and not that he's not mentally tough enough to deal with that, but it's just, man, the first start he had, can't count it, 2 or 3 swinging bunts that led to runs and made good pitches. And today, like I said, I really believe he'd make that play at short right there. He's out of that inning with a 0, and he doesn't have to go and labor through 35 more pitches that inning, and that's the key to it all. Instead of getting out of there with a 0, he's got a 4 spot and has to tax himself with a lot more pitches. And then, we were debating on pulling him there, but he got it out 2 more innings and gave us 2 really big 0s right there. So, hats off to Tyler. I know he's not as sharp as he wants to be, but we aren't helping him out behind him, and he's kind of been had some bad luck behind him as well. So I'm confident in him that he'll continue to get better, and hopefully we give him a little bit better support as we move forward.
Kind of a 2-part question here regarding Brandon Compton. Thursday and Friday didn't start with lefties on the mound today. Now coming up, and the bases loaded against the lefty hitting a grand slam. Was he not starting because of the lefty-lefty matchup on Thursday and Friday, and did that kind of affect your confidence level in being able to make a big hit right there?
I think it was the type of lefty we were facing on Thursday. I mean, I don't know if it would have mattered who we threw in there. I mean, that kid was pretty good. But, yeah, I mean, I was playing the matchup on the first guy. But it's not to say, and I told Brandon, it's not that you can't hit lefties. I just, I want to go with a right-hander today. So be ready to go and come off the bench. And he's going to face his fair share of left-handers. And today he essentially won us the game with that big blast there in the inning. Was that the 6th? He's just some gut feels you have on guys you want to give opportunities to, and that's part of my job, is to not always go by the book and manage things. But yeah, B-Comp's going to get his fair share of left-handed at bats.
Were you aware of possible drop dead time
Yeah, that was something we agreed to before the game started. I wasn't a big fan of that, but I understand they had a 5 o'clock flight they had to get to. Um, you know, they just said we need a drop dead time at 3, and I'm like, well, I like playing 9 innings, but today I'm not going to complain. You know, I get it. Their travels, you know, they got a long way to go, and they've been on the road a long time. So that's what we agreed to prior to the game, and yes, that was the reason I brought in Carlone in the 7th.
What did you make of his performance coming in the 7th, getting the double play, big double play to get out of it, and then coming in and kind of persevering in the 8th?
Yeah, I mean the big pitch was there in the 7th, getting us out of that jam. The guys turned a great double play behind him, and then, you know, the 8th, it wasn't as sharp as we'd like it to be. That's something he's going to have to learn how to do. If we're going to get to where we want to be, he's going to have to go more than 1 inning and be sharp for longer than 1 inning. We're going to have to stretch him out to 2 or maybe 3 innings if we can as the year goes along. But he's learning, you know, for a freshman to go and be thrown into every one of these games. Everyone feels the emotions and the intensity going up and down, and to get thrown in there to try and close it out, you know, and all the pressure, you know, is on them. You know, he's handling it well, but he still has some things to learn, and he'll get better as we keep going.
If there had been a 9th, would you like to see him throw another inning?
I probably would have managed a little differently. To be perfectly honest, I think we had him slated for 2 innings today. You know, probably the 8th and the 9th. We would have probably tried to figure out a way to brought in Fitzy there in the 7th, maybe to left on left matchup. Figured out a way to piece together the 7th and then go to Cole the 8th and the 9th. But I was watching the clock a little bit, and I'm like, there's no way we're getting 2 more innings in. So let's bring him in now and try and get out of this thing, and then have him finish the 8th. And so it worked out for us.
Newbie back in the lineup today after missing the last couple of games. How's that progressing along? Is he back to 100%?
He's not 100%, but he's a lot better. And I thought it was important to get him in there today. You know, assuming he could go, I wouldn't put him at risk health-wise. But we're at a point now where I think he's not full 100%, but he certainly feels a ton better and good enough to where he can go. I wanted to play him today. I didn't want him to go, you know, essentially 2 weeks without playing. The next time we play is Friday, so I wanted to get him in there and try to keep him sharp as if we possibly could. And you know, he gave us a couple good at bats there. Got a nice hit. You know, he had a couple tough ABs too. But again, those are things I don't want him to get too far removed.
You had said last that he was ahead of schedule. Is there an update on sort of where he's at in that?
Who's that? I'm sorry.
Nick McLean.
Nick. Nick's gonna travel with us. So I'm as it stands today, he's gonna travel with us. So he has a doctor's appointment tomorrow. We're hoping, based on where he's at, all indications are he should get cleared. So if that's the case, we'll try to give him, not to get ahead of ourselves, but of course with the doctor's approval, we'd like to get him live ABs this week and hopefully have him active by this weekend.
By active, does that mean starting lineup?
We'll see.
In this non-conference slate, like you always say, battle tested, so how huge was it to get this win today to kind of lead going into the rest of the week before your trip to Texas?
Well, I mean, every one of them was a stressful game, you know. I mean, it's every game we played has kind of been somewhat stressful, never been easy. So I guess that's good and bad at the same token. Obviously, we'd like to have chalked up another win or two, you know, this weekend. But at the end of the day, these guys are understanding that the things we have to get better at. And I think that's, if we can weather this storm and get through it, we're going to hopefully be better in the long run, because we're going to understand that we can't get away with mistakes and against good teams. They're going to beat us. So, you know, that was part of the reason for the tough schedule, is we wanted to make sure that we don't get away with mistakes, that we learn how to play it the right way. Because hopefully if we get to the finish line with this thing and we're able to play in the postseason, that those little things and being battle tested in tough situations are going to pay off for us. So again, I would like to put up some more wins too, but these are every one of these games is coming down to the wire, and one pitch determines outcomes a lot of times. So these are important.
Some of the guys said before, talking about staying within themselves and not letting the moment get too big. And you guys get in those deficits, what have you noticed about the group to where they kind of treat it as one step at a time and not let the moment be too daunting?
Well, I think biggest thing from an offensive standpoint that I'm seeing is guys aren't up there trying to hit 5-run home runs with nobody on base. You know, guys are getting on base, figuring out a way to start a rally. That's been huge. You know, B-Comp doesn't hit the grand slam without the at-bats before him today that were phenomenal at-bats. I think Isaiah got down 0-2 on a couple of borderline pitches that were close. And you know, that's just a sign of how Isaiah has matured over the years, or over the last year, is that, you know, he gives that bat away, you know, a year ago. And instead he battles, grinds, and fouls a couple of tough pitches off, works a walk, and then B-Comp gets him, right? So that's just a mature lineup and guys that are doing their job and staying within themselves. And that's what I'm pleased about. If we can carry that over to the other side of the ball and get these young puppies understanding, you know, to make good pitches on 0-2, 1-2, and continue to get them better, then, you know, things will start rolling.